I've had enough call-outs for gas central heating boilers over the last 20 odd years to know that a lot of people get frustrated when a problem occurs that they could have fixed themselves. So for example, the one that happens every single winter without fail for many people, the condensating pipe freezes, it stops the boiler working, and they call an engineer out. So they can pour hot water over the pipe instead of the user. And it's the same with, well, 20 years of working in IT. I've driven miles and miles to turn things off and on again for people, or to turn them on at the wall. And it appears there's a similar sort of story with heat pumps. I've had what I now know is a common problem with these things, which can throw up, it seems, all sorts of error codes, which send you down the wrong path. More on that in a minute. Something I really wish I'd have known at the beginning of owning this a few years ago now, and it's been faultless over the last few years, I have to say, but I wish I'd have known about this because it would make the unit more efficient and it would have completely stopped this from happening. Completely stopped it. I wouldn't have had anyone called out. I wouldn't have had a nearly £500 potential repair bill. It shouldn't have happened, and now I do know. I want to tell everyone about it so you don't have to go through what we went through, which was a non-operational, to a point anyway, heat pump during winter, and I had to wait a week and I could have fixed it myself. I mean, it's still freezing now. It's like -1 at the moment. It just looks nice. And it's fully operational, it's back to normal. But let me go back in time to the start of this year. In fact, it was New Year's Day, because if something's going to go wrong, it's going to happen when everything's shut. Of course it's going to do that. And we woke up and the house was colder than it should have been. Looked at my phone, notification, fault. So the app told me there was a fault, and it was this fault here. F733, you know, that old common one. Essentially, simply put, from what I now know, it's one of two things. One, the grill round the back here, where it sucks air in and shoots it out the front, if that's completely iced over, then it will restrict the airflow or stop the airflow, and the unit can't operate until you get rid of the ice. Now that's not normal, it shouldn't happen, but occasionally apparently it can happen. That I could check myself. I could tell there was no ice at all. It was completely clear, even though it was -6, -7. The defrost cycles, if you will, that this goes through to stop that from happening have been seemingly working fine. So it wasn't that. It must be the only thing left, which was, well, it's losing gas. So these have refrigerant inside them. Think of it like having a small leak on the air conditioning system of your car. Eventually, it's going to stop working. So that's what I thought was going on with the heat pump, because, well, that's what the error code told me. Now, handily enough, I thought, well, 20 years of IT experience tells me that if I turn it off and on again, it might work. And weirdly enough, it did. I didn't have to turn it off and on again, as in turn the power off. There's actually a reset button inside the garage on the unit tower that I just pressed, and it just restarts the unit. And it came back online, and it started working again. Sure enough, the following night I woke up and it happened again. Not a problem, I thought. I've had this a few years now, but it comes with a 7-year warranty. I'll ring up Vaillant, get them to come out. Well, it appears, due to the fact that my installer never registered the warranty, which is a surprisingly common issue I've again come to find out, that my warranty was 2 years, not 7. Now that's nothing to do with Vaillant, it's not their fault. That's to do with the installer of this that didn't register it in time. That probably explains why they no longer exist, because they went bust. It just meant that, well, I have to pay for the repair rather than it's done under warranty. So that's really frustrating, but it is what it is. So I rung up several other people and they could absolutely come out and sort this out, or at least look at it, but they were busy for nearly 2 weeks, like 10, 11, 12 days. So I just bit the bullet, rung up Vaillant, because they have their own repair and service department, and said, right, well, I just need it fixing. Now, I don't know if this is common in the industry, you tell me. They have a fixed price fix, it appears. So essentially, it was just shy of 500 quid, £480, including VAT and everything, and we will fix your heat pump, excluding the compressor and one other component anyway. We will fix it no matter what's wrong with it, no matter how many parts it needs, for £480. So I guess the idea is, well, if I've got a £2,000 fix, I'm winning. If it's a quick and easy fix, then I'm paying more. I didn't really have a choice because I wanted it doing there and then. And I thought, well, it's not a bad idea, it's not a bad option, and at least I know it will get fixed. I had to wait 4 days for them to come out because that's how busy they were, so not great, but it could have been worse. And in that time, I just pressed the reset button pretty much once a day. So the engineer turned up to look at this from Vaillant. Brilliant, he's here. He didn't have the equipment to regas it, which I was about to kick off about because I'm like, well, everything is telling us it needs a regas. Why would you send someone out that can't? That aside though, he said, oh, let's have a look at it anyway because I think I might know what it will be. So he pulled a few panels off, he had a look inside. Everything was perfect with this, there was no debris, it was clean. And if we check other things, then it must be the gas. But there's one other thing I want to check first before I then send for the person, or at least the tools, to regas the heat pump. And that's the one inside. So this is what I wanted to look at. It's the Unitower. So this is the other half to the heat pump. He opened this up and looked at the flow rate. So if I press these two here, go to live monitor, this is only for my system. You'd need a Unitower, so not everyone will have access to this, but this here is the flow rate. So at the moment it's doing 861 litres per hour. That, according to the Vaillant guy, should be at least above 700 litres per hour. Mine, when he came to look at it, was 450. Clearly there was an issue. From that he ascertained that, well, I think I know what the problem is, and it's nothing to do with low gas or a gas leak or a refrigerant leak anyway. It's the filter that's probably clogged. And this is the common issue I've been talking about. A clogged filter has thrown up this issue. And all you have to do to clean it, at least on my system, and this might be different for yours, it'll be in a different position, for example, but I imagine once somebody shows you where it is, if you can't figure it out yourself, then you probably could do it yourself. Essentially, all you have to do is isolate a couple of things. I would turn this here to isolate the top. I would turn that down there. So effectively, this part is completely isolated. I would then get a wrench and unscrew this, which gives me the filter, and I would just clean the filter in a sink, maybe with a toothbrush. That's literally all he did. He took it to the sink in there, cleaned it, put it back in again, and the flow rate on here went from 450 litres per hour to 1,000 litres per hour. Obviously, because the system was up and running again, because I'd pressed that reset button, it was working before he arrived. But after 6 weeks now, no issues at all. Clearly that was definitely the problem, and how the error code came up, I don't know. This is what essentially has sent us down the wrong path. It's either that or the gas. Well, it was neither. And surely if the flow rate, which is monitored by this thing here, is so obviously too low, how is that not being flagged up? So this is a diagnostic fault code problem for me, for Vaillant to sort out. But other manufacturers seem to have the same problem, or at least they have to clean the filter quite often when they turn up at someone's house to solve whatever problem they're having. And this is coming from heating engineers that fix heat pumps that I've spoken to. I am not a heating engineer. Now, Vaillant were really good. They actually said, well, you know what, because it was literally turn up, take a filter out and clean it, essentially a basic service, they only charged me for, I think it was less than £100, a basic call-out charge to fix it. They could, because I agreed to it, have charged me the full £480, but they didn't, so that's brilliant. Thank you, Mr. Vaillant. And they're not sponsoring this, I should point out. There's no sponsorship going on here. No matter what people think in the comment section, I get called a green woke shill for the heat pump industry because I say occasionally positive things about heat pumps. It's nothing to do with that. It's the lizard people that are telling me to do heat pump videos. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel as well so you see my flat earth and chemtrail videos. Back on topic, again, if I'd have known about this from day one, like you would with a car, you know, you buy a petrol or diesel car, you're taught how to check oil and filter, you know, the basics of maintenance. And there should be stuff for these things for me, well, for that outside. I'm very much in that is it old school? I don't know, sort of frame of mind where you think, well, we should be teaching people how to fix things now, rather than just ring someone up. I read I think it was a report or something online where they said that the majority of people under the age of 25 will pay someone to put a shelf up rather than just do it themselves. And I think we're just losing a lot of these basic skills now, so this is kind of a similar sort of thing. So that's essentially it really. We could have, if it wasn't for Generous Valent, have had a £500 nearly bill for something very basic. The filter. I now monitor that. I check the flow rate on here. It's 857 litres at the moment per hour. If that drops below 800, I'm just going to clean the thing. Again, it went from 450 to 1,000. It was black when he pulled it out. It was just gunked up. If I'd have known that was a thing, I'd have done it ages ago, because it doesn't just stop the thing working when it got that bad. It will reduce the efficiency of the whole unit. Well, hopefully it will be just plain sailing now for the next several years or more. Oh, and if you are a heat pump engineer, or if you've got a heat pump, is this something that would you agree with what I've said here? That filter is responsible on many different brands for too many problems. And it's something the user should be able to do themselves. I don't know, is that something you agree with? I don't have glycol, mine is water with the antifreeze valves and stuff like that, so I don't have to worry about any of that stuff. Does that make a difference? I don't know. Again, I'm not a heating engineer. I'm just somebody that wants to do it themselves, because that saves me money.